All right, we are recording. We are on today with Audrey Chen, who is a co-founder of NoSu. Welcome to the show. How's it going?
It's going good. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, excited to have you on.
hmm
I spotted you, just like I think a lot of people on Twitter, just like absolutely
hmm
blowing up a
hmm
week or two ago.
hmm
And the energy was cool, and what you were working on was interesting. So I wanted to have you on and kind of explore what you're building. So I think the first
hmm
question I have is, how does it feel to be like going viral on Twitter every day? And like, Are you still going viral? Has it ended? Like, what's that like for people
Yeah,
that don't know?
so I started last week with 300 followers, or like a week and a half with 300 followers on Twitter, and then now I'm at almost 2,000. And I'm still going viral every day. I post about like investment. I post like videos about the journey. Um, like I posted a reaction video to getting our first VCs, and that blew up too. Um, yeah, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, it's I don't. I feel like it was like 2018, 2019 for me, but I was around, I don't know, like 500 or whatever followers, and I kind of had my like honestly it would like lasted like a year or two, honestly, but like I just like got viral like frequently for some of my takes, and it's
Mhm.
kind of crazy because like these random people in like dozens at a minute, just start following you, and you're just like, what is going on? But that's just
I
like the
know,
power
right?
of the internet.
hmm Yeah,
So yeah,
oh,
go for
previously
it.
I had like experience on social media platforms like Instagram and LinkedIn and going viral there and building followings. Um, so I didn't really understand the Twitter algorithm, but it looks like people just come to you.
I think people look for signal, and it kind of signal begets signal, right? Where it's like if people are flocking to an account, and that account's interesting, more people are going to flock, and it just kind of keeps going until it stops, and maybe sometimes it never stops. You never know. So when I guess just going to kind of what you're working on, like was when did you first kind of start posting about Nosu? I guess let's first, what is Nosu? What are you working? What are you building on? And maybe how'd you kind of get to the point where you wanted to build that?
Um, so I started working on NoSu with my co-founder Aiden when uh, so my background is I won 21 hackathons and uh, developed a following of 60,000 on Instagram. And from both like my own experiences hosting and competing in hackathons and also like 2,000 comments and questions about people hosting hackathons and like figuring out how to participate, like even getting started, we realized that there were patterns on Gen Zs and like entry level developers trying to join in on these hackathons and being kind of confused, and organizers feeling like the process for organizing was tedious. So that's what sort of Birth NoSu is. Yeah, both feedback and experience.
How do you get into, just like doing even one or two hackathons, let alone dozens of them? Like you kind of walk me through how you found yourself in this world of building and shipping code, and like eventually doing all these hackathons.
Um, so I got into hackathons through my university hackathon at Michigan State, and um, yeah, I think the ideation process and like collaboration was really what drew me in. I think once you like meet some teammates and sort of understand the general stacks or projects that come out of hackathons, you kind of get hooked and continue to build more. So I would be going to one like every weekend.
Totally. Yeah, I there's a group that was popular when I was in college, which I'm curious. I'll ask you if they're still popular. They're called Major League Hacking,
Yeah, they're
and
so popular.
are they still kind of like would you say they're kind of the primary hackathon provider for universities, or how would you kind of like how do you like outline them in the market of hackathons?
Yeah, I'd say the top two are Major League Hacking and DevPost. Both of them like bring people together in communities and sort of provide a bit of a structure for organizers.
Nice. Yeah, I actually had the founder or the founder and CEO of Major League Hacking on the podcast. I wonder how long ago it was. I'm actually going to check. It feels like I'm gonna guess like 2022. It was April 5th, 2020. It was like right actually after COVID hit. That's wild. Well, very cool. So you've done something interesting where this is mainly based off of reading your Twitter posts, but excuse me, but it appears to me that you like went to Silicon Valley recently, or maybe you're still in Silicon Valley, and like you had quite an interesting experience. Um, and then based on your tweets, it sounds like you're like going back to Silicon Valley. So walk me through like all of that. I think like why did you go to Silicon Valley in the first place? Let's start there. What drew you to Silicon Valley in the first place, to go there for like the first time?
So my co-founder and I were going for a ski trip. We had a ski trip scheduled, and so we went up to Silicon Valley, then went skiing in Lake Tahoe. There were some very interesting Luma events that we noticed online while we were in Lake Tahoe, and we were like, we should just stay in Silicon Valley and see how these events go. Then we ended up raising $75,000 in the span of a week and a half, and we decided that maybe it's a great time to start a startup. And so we flew back to the Midwest to pack up, and we're going to move to Silicon Valley.
So there's a little bit of a gap there that I'm sure people are going to be like interested in. You're going skiing, and then you get 75 grand. First of all, congratulations, super exciting. I mean, congrats on is that 75 grand the first like check that you've gotten from an investor before?
Yeah, we got our first angel investor checks in our first VC.
That's incredible. So if you're open to going, in a little more in detail, because people, folks listening to this, a lot of them want to build companies, a lot of them want to raise venture capital, but it's hard for them to know exactly how to do that. Kind of like outline kind of how that happened. Like, did you go to some of these events? You met investors, and kind of just like outline kind of how you went from going on a ski trip to going back with a fat check of 75 grand, now wanting to go back to Silicon Valley even after that.
So basically, the way we started raising was, I think a pivotal event was going to the Hot Pot event. There was a Hot Pot at one of the founder manors, Mission Dolores Manor in Mission, and I was very hungry. My co-founder and I didn't have our finances as figured out before the investments, so we were crashing a bunch of motels, eating very interesting food, and there was a hot pot with a $10 ticket, and so I beelined for that hot pot. Basically, the whole time at that event, I was just like on my feet trying to get every single sauce, every single piece of meat, and somehow some people noticed, and we had like some conversation. They said they were startup founders. They said they were like investors, and I sort of mentioned NoSu about how we were trying to make hosting hackathons more streamlined with AI, and they liked it. There's also like a pitch opportunity where we were able to pitch in front of like the whole 200 people at the Hot Pot. So I signed up like then. I made a pitch deck in 30 minutes. And just pitched it to everybody and landed my first angel checks of $5,000 and $2,000. One of the reasons the investors said they invested was because I guess they saw how hungry I was, how much I was trying to go after that hot pot. And yeah, getting that angel investment, we immediately put it to work and started distributing the product, doubled our users. And once other investors saw our traction, they all started reaching out. And then I started posting on Twitter, and the more I posted about investment, the more investors just went to my emails, went to my DMs. The Hot Pot reel was recorded. Like I recorded the whole experience of pitching in front of the investors, talking to them, talking about valuation and learning about safes in a reel on Instagram. That also blew up to 350K views. And yeah, since then we've had 29 investors and VCs reach out to us, and that's how we got our current 75,000.
Amazing. So I have one or two more questions on this. Then I want to go back to NoSu and talk about like the product and and the experience and how it works and stuff. So you have this incredible trip. You go to Silicon Valley not expecting any of this. You leave with some money, and then I think one of the tweets that I saw, as I mentioned, you like decided you're like going back to Silicon Valley to spend more time there. I am curious. It makes sense why you're going back. It's like, I spent a lot of time there. It's like a great place to be if you're building a startup. But how long did it take you to decide that you were going back there? How long were you back home? And where's home? What city or what state is there? Like, how long did it take you to decide that you wanted to go back before you did decide to go back?
Yeah, so once, I think it's even before we landed our angel investor checks, I was considering staying in Silicon Valley because of the energy of the founders there. But after the angel investment checks kept rolling in and we landed our VC, that's when I knew. My home is Michigan, so I grew up in Michigan, went to school there, and yeah, I think getting that VC and those investors, and the platform making a ton of revenue is really what got me to go out and take a gap semester and go back to Silicon.
Love that story. It really shows you the power of that city. And, it doesn't always work out like that, of course. Like some of it's going to the right event, meeting the right person, et cetera. But there are things that happen in Silicon Valley will never happen anywhere else, which what makes it a great place to build and raise. So let's go back to NoSu. So walk me through, like, who's that for? Is it for organizers? If I want to plan a hackathon, would I use NoSu and then I'd organize it? Like, can you walk me through how someone would use the platform for their own hackathon?
Yeah, so it's a platform for both organizers and participants. We have software for people to host hackathons end to end, aka AI helps you like assign judging. It helps assign it does AI matching for teammates, for your participants in the hackathon you're hosting, and it also like suggests categories and tracks for prizes that you want to do out in the hackathon, and like all the logistical things end to end, rather than like traditional hackathon hosting software where you do everything manually and it takes a while, and you also have to like have a whole operations team to like brainstorm tracks. But yeah, since I had like experience organizing and a lot of experience talking to other organizers, we were able to like sort of put that info in and have the platform be able to intuitively decide on what prizes should be. So instead of hackathons taking like months to host, it takes a snap to host a hackathon. And the goal of this is to make hackathons easier to host so developers can get more opportunities and companies can get more engagement. There's a lot of very well built software companies, just companies in general, that don't have users deeply using their app or as much exposure. So hackathons are a great way to get that engagement, community, and exposure. On the other side, we have software for developers to get into hackathons. We have a bunch of roadmaps for them to understand what tools you need to learn for a hackathon, how to come up with ideas, how to find teammates, if you don't use our AI team matching, and also getting feedback on your ideas and storing all your ideas in like a library, and accessing a database of other hackathon ideas that you could get inspiration from.
That's awesome. Like lowering the friction to host these. And even like, I know you're focused on hackathons, but just like event organizing in general, I just feel like making it easier to get people together is such a high alpha thing to do, because when people get together, that's when things happen, right? When relationships are built.
Yeah.
One question I had is when you mentioned that you raised this $75,000 and then like you doubled you said like double your user base or double your revenue or something like that, and like initially had a big impact. How did you know like where to spend the money, where to invest it? If you never raised before, like, do you just know the gaps in the company and you knew that, oh, if we have 10 grand to allocate, we're going to put it there? Or did you run a bunch of experiments, or how did you know where to put the money to get to the growth?
Yeah, so because of my experience as a content creator, I had a lot of experience with distribution. So I understood, like as a Gen Z, that like a huge percentage of a company is the way you distribute. So, and I also know that building systems, you have to immediately put money to work for you so you can get more money. So that's why I immediately decided to use a good, 30% of the money to aggressively go out to market. And the way we did this is by partnering with 15 content creators between followings of like 10K to 150K. And basically what they would do is they would post reels about NoSu and our events that we were hosting. And that funneled in so many users and got us more reach so we could have leverage for companies to sponsor us. We ended up landing 3 YC sponsors, 2 Series A, a Series B, and an IPO, and a ton of other like startups that wanted to sponsor the hackathons that we hosted. That was before we pivoted to now being a self-serve platform where companies can host their own hackathons, and that's scalable now.
That's awesome. It's great when you have experience prior to something, and then when you have an opportunity, you know what to do with it because of your past experience. What is one thing, or more than one thing, that you've learned about Silicon Valley since you spent time there and now are going back, that wasn't obvious to you before you were out there?
One thing about Silicon Valley that I've learned is that environment does play a factor in the trajectory of your company. If we had stayed in the Midwest, I mean, we could have raised, I guess we could have done everything virtually, but being on your feet, being scrappy, seeing everyone else who's like just as passionate about you as you are, really heightened like our energy. At these networking events, it wasn't just like scurrying after the hot pot. It was scurrying after talking to people, making sure you just put yourself out there, and knowing that like every moment counts when you're trying to grow fast. So that's something that wasn't as apparent to me before, when I was just in the Midwest kind of chilling.
Totally. That's I was just had a podcast with someone a couple of days ago, and we were talking about this on like, you technically can do whatever you want to do from wherever you're at, but your level of difficulty that you're playing on changes depending on where you're based. And if you're based in SF, it's not necessarily easier to build a company, but it's easier to get to the people, it's easier to learn faster, it's easier to find the signal, which maybe that leads to an easier time building a big company. It's and I'm out here in Phoenix. I've been in Phoenix my whole life.
I was born in Phoenix.
No way, you were born in Phoenix? Nice.
Yeah, and then we went back for a bit to hike Camelback.
That's awesome, dude. Camelback that's a great hike. It's short, but it's very, very steep. It can be difficult. When did you move from Phoenix to Michigan?
When I was 5, so not really that long.
Yeah, totally. It's actually similar to my wife. She was born in San Francisco, but moved to Phoenix when she was 5. Or her family moved. Very cool. Is there anything that you've learned that you think would be useful to share to like your former self of like a month ago, or like before you, or anything you've learned even a couple of years ago? What's something you want to shed light on that maybe would help other people a few steps before you?
I'm trying to I think something that I would share with my past self would be to put yourself out there. No matter how good like you build your project technically, or how good your school name is, or how much prestige you have, if you don't put yourself out there, if you don't put yourself in front of people's faces, it's going to be much harder, I think, to get to the places you want to be. I think or I guess, yeah, it's much easier to get to the places you want to be by just putting yourself out there. No matter where your product is, no matter where your product's going, or how good it is, just make sure that you try and work on the confidence to just be in places that you're supposed to be and talk to the people you need to talk to.
I love that. And then just a couple more questions. When it comes to NoSu, who's your kind of ideal, like if someone's listening to this and they're wondering, oh, is this for me? Like, could I host a hackathon? Do you have an ideal user of who would use NoSu? Is it a company? Is it a hackathon organizer? Like, who's your ICP for this?
Yeah, so the ideal company is a dev tool company. There's a lot of dev tools that developers haven't really explored. So if you're a dev tool company, it's really good for you because you get marketing. This is like you are a consumer company, but since you have like the developer niche, it's a little bit different, I think. So it's good for exposure. Like you get access to our social media streams of like 100,000, and I guess even more of a reach too because we partner with content creators. And then yeah, more engagement to just grow exponentially. Yeah, if you have a really good technical product and it's not out there, there's so much you can explore for growing your product exponentially.
100%. And then if someone was listening to this and let's say they're in that ideal customer profile, they're a DevTools company, where can they find NoSu? Like, what's your website? Is there a social media account? How can someone kind of get started?
Yeah, so you could email audreychen07@gmail.com, or you can search me up on any like LinkedIn or X at Audrey Chen and just type in the word hackathon and it's likely going to be me. And then yeah, the website's called nosu.io. And for the rest of the month, we're going to be building better infrastructure for hosting those software hackathons.
Amazing. And I think my last question is, what's next? I mean, you've had a wild couple of weeks. You went to SF, you got some money, you're going back to SF. Like, what's the plan? Or are you just kind of taking a day at a time?
Oh, yeah, the plan is to go to market even further, distribute. I'd say if you are trying to host a hackathon on NoSu, definitely contact us now because 7 other people already reached out. We don't know how much our clients are going to fill up, and our prices are low for hosting right now. It's like $500 to host a hackathon on our platform instead of dev posts like $3,000. And then, yeah, our other plan is to freaking get housing, and yeah, finish up our fundraising round. We're raising a $300K pre-seed. And since we're already 1/3 of the way through, I suppose it's going to close in like the next few weeks. So yeah, we're going to try and finish that up so we can keep on scaling. And yeah, that should be a bit of work, but I'm so excited to drink more turmeric shots in San Francisco.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming onto the podcast and sharing a little bit of your story with me and what you're working on. And I wish you the best of luck closing the round and building a really great, enduring company in the Bay Area.
Yeah, thank you so much. Nice to meet you, Matt, too.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Have a good rest of your day.
Yeah, peace out.